Hello, everyone, and welcome to another heavenly broadcast. In today's video, I asked the question, are you letting God heal you? Life has a way of pushing us forward, even when we're not ready. We move from one season to the next, carrying wounds from our past that never even had a chance to heal. Emotional pain, heartbreak, and trauma often get buried beneath the busyness of our lives. Yet, no matter how deeply we try to hide these wounds, they remain, lingering beneath the surface, impacting our relationships, our faith, and our ability to live in true peace. The question we must ask ourselves, are you letting God heal you? Healing is not an instant process. It's actually sometimes a long and painful one. Much like physical wounds require intentional care to heal properly, so do the wounds of our hearts and minds. Consider the example of a physical injury. For myself personally, I remember the first time I had to get stitches. As a grown adult, I sliced my leg wide open, and the road to recovery was just the beginning. From the moment I was injured, the process of healing began. But it wasn't immediate. I couldn't walk or move, so I had to wait for someone to help me, and then I had to wait for someone to take me to the hospital. That wait alone felt exhausting. Then once I arrived at the hospital, I had to sit in the waiting room again. Then I had to wait to see the doctor. After finally being seen, I had to wait even longer for the numbing cream to take effect before they could give me stitches. Keep in mind, I'm 7 months pregnant at the time, so they refused to give me any pain medication, and I was sliced so deep I could see my bone. So the process really felt even more overwhelming. Now, after the stitches were completed, I still had to wait to be discharged before I could finally go home and just rest. This entire ordeal took about 12 hours, and that was just the beginning of the healing journey. Looking back, I realized how much this experience mirrors the way God's healing process works. If I'd never gone to the hospital to get stitches, my wound would have remained open and exposed to infection and could have possibly gotten worse. Without those stitches, I might have never walked properly again. The same is true for emotional and spiritual wounds. Some of us are walking through life with wounds still wide open, desperately needing God's healing. But we haven't yet made it to the hospital, which is the presence of God. Many people attempt to replace their pain with things of this world. They turn to relationships, material possessions, or even destructive behaviors, hoping these things will fill the voids of their hearts. But no relationship, no achievement, and no worldly pleasure can heal a wounded soul. Only God can reach those deep places of pain and restore what has been broken. God's healing is often uncomfortable because He doesn't just cover the wound, He addresses its source. Just like a doctor must clean a wound before stitching it up, God must expose those areas of our lives that need healing. This can feel painful and overwhelming, but it's necessary for true restoration. In Psalms 147, verse 3, the word tells us, He heals the brokenhearted and bandages their wounds. Notice that God doesn't just simply mask our pain, He carefully binds it, ensuring that healing takes place beneath the surface. This process can take time. Emotional healing is rarely quick. It requires surrender, patience, and trusting in God's timing. For those struggling to let God heal them, including myself, we should consider these steps. Number 1, just like I couldn't begin my healing process until I admitted I was hurt, you must first recognize the areas of your life where your pain is. Many people deny their struggles because confronting them feels overwhelming. But God can only heal what you bring to Him. Number 2, come to God for healing. When I needed medical help, I had to physically go to the hospital. Likewise, you must come into God's presence for healing. This can look like prayer, fasting, studying His Word, or seeking guidance from spiritually grounded people. Number 3, be patient in the process. Healing rarely happens overnight. Just as my stitches require time to close the wound, God's healing often unfolds gradually. This season may feel frustrating, but every moment in His presence is working for your good. Don't mistake waiting for abandonment. God is still working, even when you don't see it. Number 4, embrace the discomfort. Healing can hurt. Just like numbing cream didn't block all the pain I felt, God's presence may reveal parts of your past that are difficult to face. Yet this discomfort is a sign that He's doing real work within you. Trust that this temporary pain is producing lasting peace. Just as a wound itches and becomes tender as it heals, your emotional scars may bring discomfort as God is restoring you. Number 5, trust in God's plan. Romans 8:28 reminds us, that's why we can be so sure that every detail in our lives of love for God is worked into something good. Even the pain you're facing now is being transformed into purpose. You must first surrender it to Him. Sometimes what feels like endless struggle is actually God positioning you for greater strength, peace, and purpose. Healing often requires consistency. Just as a wound requires regular cleaning, bandaging, and care, emotional wounds need steady spiritual maintenance. This looks like daily prayer, worship, and time in God's words. These are the cleaning agents that keep your heart from being infected by bitterness, resentment, and hopelessness. If you've been living with unhealed wounds, I encourage you to take the first step toward God. Healing may take time, and there may be moments when you feel weary, but God is faithful. He will never leave you and allow you to face your pain alone. The same God who healed the blind, the lame, and the brokenhearted is the same God who can heal you today. Don't allow your wounds to linger untreated. Just like my leg injury needed medical attention before I could heal, your heart needs the healing touch of God before you can walk in the fullness of His peace. Healing doesn't mean forgetting what happened or pretending your pain never existed. It means allowing God to take what once hurt you and transform it into a testimony of His power and love. Are you ready to let God heal you? If so, come to Him with a open heart. Bring your pain, your fears, and your brokenness before Him. He's waiting to restore you, strengthen you, and fill you with His peace, one day at a time. Trust in the process, because even when you can't see it, God is working behind the scenes to bring beauty from your brokenness. Please, guys, let God heal you.